What's happened in the last decade, if you step back, is Bernanke correctly understood the economy was going down the toilet. He said what he had to do, he had to resuscitate the economy. Okay? To resuscitate the economy, he figured he had to get wealth up, because there's a so-called Pagou effect, where 5% of changes in wealth work its way into consumption. The best way to get wealth up is get the stock market up. Unfortunately, there's a disproportionate ownership of the stocks. So they got back that money in the last 10 years by creating a negative interest rate, so the savers were basically not getting a real return on their savings. Now they're trying to get a second bite of the apple by basically wealth taxes and things like that. Okay? It's unnatural. It's unnatural, and I think it's creating an environment where they're having people moving out on the risk curve and borrowing from the future. We have a budget deficit today when the economy is reasonably fully employed. That's not the way it goes. We should be basically budget neutral, budget surplus.
I'm not going to sit here, Leon, and disagree with you on these rate cuts. I was a guy who thought the Fed ought to have stopped at 2.5%, and I actually would have loved to get them to 3%, to have a lot of ammunition for an actual recession or downturn. I lost that argument. And by the way, the split on the Fed, there are as many people who agree with Leon on the Federal Reserve as who disagree with him. And this is an extraordinary time, guys, right now.
Okay, we're going to continue this conversation with Lee Cooperman in just a minute. We're going to talk politics and your money. Rick and Steve, thank you to you, to both of you. We're going to get his take on last night's Democratic debate, including the idea of a wealth tax. You can imagine where he stands, but you got to hear it from him personally. You're watching Squawk on CNBC.
I believe ETFs are
Parents, it's up to half price on all toys at Sainsbury's right now, so you can keep us occupied this half term and even stock up for Christmas. The Sainsbury's up to half price toy sale ends 22nd of October.
Subject to availability at selected Sainsbury's stores, excluding Centrals and Locals, not available online. Valid 16th to 22nd of October.
Time is money. Or so money says. Well, money. I know you like to dictate every hour of every day, add to my to-do list and throw the odd spanner in the works. But not anymore. This is my business, and I run it on my watch. I'm in control now, money. And times are changing. Save time with instant business invoicing, now on the Barclays app. Search Barclays Business and make money work for you.
Must have a Barclays business account. T's and C's apply.
People have always told me I can be a bit wary of modern things.
Very true.
So when Jane suggested selling the house with purple bricks, I wasn't happy.
No, you weren't.
You see, I don't like technology. I don't like the internet. I don't like moving out. I don't like their adverts. I don't like purple.
Luckily, I don't listen to him, and our estate agent Emma were perfect. She gave us her actual mobile number. She was always available.
Fine, they were great. Still don't like purple.
Purple bricks. You'll be totally sold.
Fixed fee payable on instruction or after 10 months. Viewing services cost extra. See website for more details.
Searching for a more memorable short break? Fly from London Heathrow to Cork from $55.99 each way as part of a return trip with Aer Lingus. Step off the plane and into a warm welcome in Cork. Surround yourself with breathtaking coastal views. Soak up the culture of Cork City or head to the colourful town of Kinsale and indulge in the best seafood around. Smart enjoys a short break in Ireland. Smart flies, Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
London, switch to Vodafone, the UK's best mobile network, and be unlimited, because the best phones deserve the best network and our new unlimited data plans. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone.
Max download speeds apply to unlimited data. Best network as voted by readers of trusted reviews. Terms at vodafone.co.uk/unlimited.
Introducing the Vauxhall Corsa Black Alloy Sat-Nav, sports seats, heated steering wheel and much, much more as standard edition. Or the Corsa Griffin for short. For just $169 a month and $169 initial rental while stocks last. All Griffin, no bull. Search Corsa Griffin. Available at participating retailers. Personal contract hire on Corsa Griffin 3-door 1.4 75 PS. Subject to status, T's and C's 18+. Initial rental 169 plus 47 months at 169. Contracted mileage 24,000. You will not own the car. Vauxhall Finance Leasing.
The notion that anyone thinks I'm punitive. Look, I don't have a beef with billionaires. My problem is you made a fortune in America. You had a great idea. You got out there and worked for it. Good for you. But you built that fortune in America. I guarantee you built it in part using workers all of us help pay to educate. You built it in part Getting your goods to market on roads and bridges, all of us help pay for. You built it at least in part, protected by police and firefighters. All of us help pay the salaries for. And all I'm saying is, you make it to the top 0.1%, then pitch in 2 cents so every other kid in America has a chance to
Senator,
make it.
Thank you.
That's
Secretary
what
Castro.
this is about.
That was Senator Elizabeth Warren last night defending her plan to tax the wealthiest Americans. Let's get back to our guest host, Leon Cooperman, Chairman and CEO of Omega Family Office. That sounded a lot like President Obama's. You didn't build that, and I understand that. And I guess, an infrastructure.
I don't actually understand it. They make it sound like rich people don't pay taxes. I went to my accountant last night. Okay, my effective tax rate is 34.2%. The only difference between that and 37 is I have long-term capital gains, which are a preference item.
Right.
The federal tax rate is 37%. If you live in New Jersey, 10.5%. You live in New York and New York City, 12.2%. You live in California, 14.1%. Obamacare tax on investment income, 3.4%. Obamacare tax on wages and self-employment income, 2.35%, no cap. Social Security tax on wages and self-employment income, 6.2% cap, $132,000. Federal estate tax on estates in excess of
Is this like nails on a blackboard,
45%. If you have a problem, you need more revenue.
Okay, go ahead now. You can check. Go ahead.
Okay,
Joseph.
All right.
Go ahead, Andy. He can cite the statistics, but the fundamental question, and I don't think, by the way, that Elizabeth Warren's necessarily looking at you. I don't know if you're one of the wealthiest 400 people in the country, but the question I would ask you is...
I'm not. I wish I was so I could give away more money.
If you looked at the top 400 people in this country and you decided that the average rate of taxes that they're paying is less than you, okay?
Get rid of the loopholes. We don't need a wealth tax.
So my question is, I'm not saying a wealth tax. I'm just asking you, what's your answer? What do you think should happen?
I said earlier, I repeat myself, I've said this 1,000 times. And
if you think
nobody listens, they all talk by each other. What should the maximum tax rate be on wealthy people? I called Warren Buffett. I hope Mr. Buffett is not disappointed I say this. I called him 5 years ago. Okay? Wonderful human being. I said, what's the answer? You know his answer? If you made $1 million a year, 35%. If you make $5 million a year, 40%.
Here's the question. The reason it comes down for those top 400 people is because a lot of them have capital gains. They're not making the money.
Fine. If you want to raise the capital gains tax rate, raise the capital gains tax rate. You want to raise the federal tax rate, raise the federal tax rate.
So if I told
think Julian Castro said it on TV last night. The wealth tax has not worked in countries.
If there was what I would describe as a progressive capital gains rate, would you be in favor of that?
I have to get the specifics rather than the generalities. I am willing, as I said before, what can I say to you? I said to you, I'm willing to work 12 months, 6 months for Uncle Sam, 6 months for myself. When you get past the 50% tax rate, it's a question of morality. It's wrong. Just ask yourself, you work hard, you get up at some ungodly hour in the morning. I do. You sit here, you do a lot of reading, you have a view, you're to the left of Joe, Joe's to the right of Becky. I can't figure out exactly where she stands. Okay, basically, how many months a year do you want to work for the government? How many months do you want to work for yourself?
I think that's a fair question, but I think there's a separate question embedded in that question.
How did the wealthy people get their wealth? They came up with a better idea.
I'm paying 55, 60%, right, in terms of taxes right now.
I live in
New York, and that's what I'm paying.
Don't you think you pay enough, or you want to pay more?
I actually do think I pay enough, but the question is, there are people who are being paid tens and hundreds of times what I'm being paid.
Andrew, your question is there a minimum? Lee can ask, is there a maximum rate? Andrew can ask, is there a minimum?
I believe you can deal with that by getting rid of loopholes, and we don't focus.
By the way, I'd love to.
Get rid of loopholes.
Okay.
1031 tax exchange.
Let's do the 1031 tax exchange.
Let's get rid of. I said this on the show.
Interest.
Go into your Nexus, Lexus, whatever. Go get a show 7 years ago. I said, if they're serious, get rid of the carried interest. The Democrats control the whole game. The Republicans control the whole game. Nothing has changed. I also said, if you're worrying about the budget, get rid of the Department of Education. It's a $100 billion department at the federal level. We don't need the federal government to tell the states how to educate children. We did when we had segregation. We don't have segregation anymore, thank God. Okay? There's things we could be doing. Okay? I believe in the progressive income tax structure. I happen to believe in my brother's keeper. Okay? That's what I'm doing when I do with my money. I get the greatest pleasure to see my children and grandchildren grow old, healthy, and purposely.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight that.
And giving back to the system. Okay, but I don't need a wealth tax to do it. Just decide what the tax rate should be and stop portraying billionaires as criminals.
That I agree with.
Okay, it is counterproductive. The American dream. I hate talking about myself, to be honest with you, because self-praise stinks. Okay, my father came to America at the age of 13 as a plumber's apprentice. Okay, no formal education. He died at 70 years of age carrying up a sink, a 4-story tenement building from a heart attack. Okay, I grew up in the South Bronx. I went to public school in the South Bronx. I went to high school in the South Bronx. Okay, go back to the movie Fort Apache of the Bronx. Okay, the opening scene is 2 kids throw a 3rd kid off a 6th floor a tenement building. I was lucky. I could have been that kid. I wasn't. Okay, I then go west. I follow the advice of Harless Greeley. I go west and I go to Hunter College in the West Bronx, now called Lehman. $24 a semester, got a wonderful wife. Okay, let me finish. I apologize. I got to finish. Okay, I then have a short stint at Columbia Business School, opens the door to Goldman Sachs. I started Goldman Sachs with a student loan, a 6-month-old kid who's 54 years old today, not today, but 50 years old, and a negative net worth.
God bless you for being part of that generation.
That's the American dream.
And that dream is not the same today. And so the question I ask you is a different one, which is, do you believe we need to create more revenue? Do you think that the government needs more revenue? Is there enough money? I can tell you, by the way,
it's not. We should not be running deficits of the kind
right,
we're
so
running.
By default, we need more money, okay?
Yeah.
So then we have to figure out how much money we need, and then we have to figure out where we're going to get it.
Hopeless. You could take all the money away from the wealthy people.
I'm not trying to take it away from the wealthy people. I'm trying to figure out what's the answer.
My answer is education. The average lifetime earnings of a college graduate is well in excess of $1 million more than non-college graduates.
100%.
Okay, educate the kids. Give them an educational opportunity. That's why I have a
Who's
Koopman
paying
College.
for that?
Well, the government through tax revenues and the private sector.
Right, and we're spending $1 trillion that we don't have.
Our economy would be better off if we had more billionaires. Just tax them. Isn't the world a better place because of Jeff Bezos? Isn't the world a better place because of Bill Gates? Isn't the world a better place because of Bernie Marcus and Ken Langone?
I don't, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. The question, though, is how you're going to tax them. By the way, the people you just mentioned, the majority of them actually, I would say Bezos is in a different category. But you look at Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, because they're giving their money away, most of their fortune will actually never be taxed.
I think it's probably the most of the wealthy people that way. I call those guys philanthropists with a capital P. I'm a philanthropist with a small p. Okay, but I've given away probably close to $1 billion. Okay,
I don't know that that's a loophole. Like, give all your money away and you don't have to pay taxes on it.
For what? The tax rate is not 100%.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't consider that a loophole.
I figured out a long time ago there's only 4 things you could do with money, if you think about it. The first thing you could do with money is you could pleasure yourself. Buy art, buy planes, buy homes. Okay? I happen to be of the view that material possessions brings with a aggravation. Less is more. I'm not a collector of things. The second thing you can do with money, give it to your kids. But if you have a lot of money, leaving all your money to kids is a mistake because it deprives them of self-achievement. The third thing you do with money is you give it to the government. Well, only a schnook gives the government money you don't have to give them. And the fourth thing you do is you recycle the money back into society to make the world a better place. And that's where all my money is going.
Well, you do choose to do philanthropy rather than taxes, and that's the point that Andrew's making.
No, I am willing to. I pay taxes.
But is that a good choice for most billionaires that their fortunes pass through to?
He's had to pay taxes.
I understand, but many are.
I know. Taxes I pay,
but would you? Is philanthropy okay, or should that be going to Uncle Sam?
I think I'm a better custodian of my money than Uncle Sam is.
Okay, that's a choice that you're able to make that a lot of people would denigrate you for.
Okay. Thank you, Lee.
No poison pen letters.
Don't go anywhere. You're going to stick around. When we come back, Jim Cramer's going to join us live from the New York Stock Exchange to give us his take on where this market is headed.
Artificial intelligence is about sensors.
Right now, the future is being written by people like you. Creative thinkers, tech lovers, problem solvers. Are you going to stand by and watch? Well, show the world what you've got. Join others around the UK on an EY degree apprenticeship in digital and technology. And earn a salary working with exciting businesses while studying towards a degree. Don't let the future pass you by. Get involved. For more information and to apply, search EY Digital Apprentice.
London, switch to Vodafone, the UK's best mobile network, and V Unlimited, because the best phones deserve the best network and our new unlimited data plans. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone.
Max download speeds apply to unlimited data. Best network as voted by readers of trusted reviews. Terms at vodafone.co.uk/unlimited.
Welcome aboard Europe's 169th safest airline.
You were like my 169th biggest crush in school.
Your total body age is 169.
The number 169 never screamed glamour until now. Get the Toyota Aygo X-Play for only £169 deposit, then £169 a month with 0% APR representative. Just go. Aygo.
0% APR representative on new sales of Aygo X-Play over 48 months. £169 per month. Customer deposit of £169 when proposed. Approved via Access Toyota by 31st of October 2019. £3,487.50p optional final payment. Subject to status to over 18s. Indemnities may be required. Conditions apply. Toyota Financial Services.
And to say happy birthday, we're giving you a pair of award-winning Silver Galaxy Buds.
But it's not my birthday till June.
No, but it's ours. 10 years ago, we launched our first Galaxy smartphone. And to celebrate, we're giving customers who purchase any Galaxy S10, Note 10 or A90 5G the chance to claim a pair of amazing wireless Galaxy Buds.
Wow, and I didn't get you anything.
Get the latest Samsung Galaxy smartphone now at your local O2 shop or o2.co.uk. Offer available on purchases made by the 23rd of October 2019 and claimed online within 30 days. T&C supply.
All right, let's get down to the New York Stock Exchange. Jim Cramer joins us. And Jim, I have just one question for you today. The answer is, what is Wall Street? What's the question?
What's under attack by the Democrats?
No. This is Jeopardy last night. The question was, the road in the title of CNBC's Squawk on the Street, is this one? And they cover the day there from the opening bell. The answer was...
Get out.
No.
I mean, that's what happens when I go to Mexico for a couple days. I missed that. That is sweet. Thank
you, Becky. It was on Jeopardy last night. Yeah. You got to check it out. It's really cool.
Just made my day. Can I just say I have loved the discussion this morning. I am a disciple of Lee. Lee taught me. I believe that there can be others. I don't think that the barriers are that great. I welcome his thinking. It is very tough right now to try to work and do well and feel that you'll be rewarded after listening to what I heard last night.
Lee, what do you think?
Well, I've expressed the view. I think that the world is better off because of Bezos, Gates, Marcus, Rubenstein. The American dream. Here, I never finished my thought, but here I am, first generation born in America, first generation to get a college degree, make a lot of money, giving it all back. That's the American dream. And why do we want to deny that? In all this negative talk, we have the best economy in the world. Best economy in the world. Our people are the most philanthropic in the world. Basically, we keep flagellating ourselves. We do have a president that's controversial. I agree with that. And this will have to be resolved, most likely in November of next year. It's a real shame. It's a shame because a lot of what he's done in the economy has been good. His tackling of the Chinese problem is reasonable. His deportment is nothing short of disgraceful. And, we'll have to see what happens. But, I had a conversation. I shouldn't go this direction. I know I'm going to get in trouble. But I had a conversation a year ago with a 74-year-old gentleman who came to America from Hungary at the age of 20 broke. He didn't say this, but I believe he's worth $15 to $20 billion. His name is Thomas Pettife. He developed a firm called Interactive Brokers. And he said he saw how socialism destroyed Hungary, and America was heading down a socialist path under Obama and Clinton, and I would say that would be accelerated under Sanders and Warren, okay? He said, and therefore he supports Trump. I did not vote for President Trump, okay? I respect what he has done, okay? I did not vote for either one, Trump or Clinton. I wrote in Mitt Romney, who is not a jackass, by the way, in my opinion. He's a terrific human being. He looks presidential, acts presidential, and he would be a good candidate for president, okay? And, but what I said to him is, if 2 years from today, now it's a year from today, the best that Democrats could do is a socialist candidate, I would vote for Trump, where I did not vote for him last time. So at the end of the day, capitalism is what distinguishes America.
They're playing us out, Lee. Hey, Jim, we've got lots of earnings coming up, and we will see you in just a few minutes to get your take on all of it. Glad you're back. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Searching for a more memorable short break? Fly from London Heathrow to Cork from $55.99 each way as part of a return trip with Aer Lingus. Step off the plane and into a warm welcome in Cork. Surround yourself with breathtaking coastal views, soak up the culture of Cork City, or head to the colourful town of Kinsale and indulge in the best seafood around. Smart enjoys a short break in Ireland. Smart flies, Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. If you buy items from EU suppliers or sell to EU customers, there'll be new requirements affecting businesses of all sizes. You'll need an EORI trader number and know how to make a customs declaration. You'll also need to make sure you have the right supporting documents for the goods you buy and sell. Find out more about how to prepare. Follow the step-by-step guide at gov.uk/Brexit-traders.
At first, we were worried about using purple bricks, but since we sold with them, I haven't been able to stop going on about them, have I, dear?
No, love.
I've been telling everyone, family, friends, that confused guy at the supermarket.
Yeah, you haven't really shut up about that.
But seriously, did I tell you about our purple bricks estate agent, Michael?
I met him too. He was nice.
We could talk to him whenever. Anything we asked, he could do it.
That's enough now,
He
dear.
was brilliant, always available to chat on the phone.
Enough,
I
Robert.
could email him any time of the day or night.
Purple bricks. You'll be totally sold.
Fixed fee payable on instruction or after 10 months. Viewing services cost extra. See website for more details.
Time is money. Or so money says. Well, money. I know you like to dictate every hour of every day, add to my to-do list and throw the odd spanner in the works. But not anymore. This is my business, and I run it on my watch. I'm in control now, money. And times are changing. Save time with instant business invoicing, now on the Barclays app. Search Barclays Business and make money work for you.
Must have a Barclays business account. T's and C's apply.
We could play epic music, or we could speak in an overdramatic tone, or even set off fireworks. But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
I want to thank our guest today, Lee Cooperman, who had a lot to say on so many different issues. I think, what would be good today, the Squawk Pod. Is it we have a lot of Lee Cooperman.
Check it out if you missed any of it.
I've been privileged to be born in America. Like all of us, we love the country. We want the right things to be done.
And you think the American dream is still possible? Because
I would hope so. I think we should do everything we can to perpetuate it, and we can have it at a 50% marginal tax rate. What you had an economist on yesterday, Bunk, 32-year-old socialist that quotes faulty economic data, makes faulty assumptions, influencing Elizabeth Warren. It's all wrong.
I think he should appear a lot on a lot of places because it was very apparent. Anyway, Lee, thank you. Is this me? Make sure you join us tomorrow. Squawk on the Street. What is Squawk on the Street? Is next.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Jim Cramer, David Faber at the New York Stock Exchange. Futures have flipped between red and green this morning amid some reports of a hiccup in Brexit talks. Obviously, more bank earnings and the worst retail sales print in 7 months. More data is on the way today. Europe's got some mild gains. The 10-year yield did hit 1.75 before that retail sales miss. Our roadmap begins with China trade concerns. Retail's biggest sales decline in 7 months and corporate earnings in focus. B of A is rallying on a beat and futures point to a muted open.
Plus capitalism under fire a bit. Democratic presidential hopefuls square off, and they're taking aim at big business and personal wealth.
And billionaire Mark Benioff will join us at Post 9 this morning. We'll talk tech regulation, capitalism, IPOs, and who he is eyeing in the 2020 race. Stocks are on track for a modest open a day after the Dow closed above 27K for the first time in almost a month. S&P finished just shy of 3,000. Meantime, B of A beats the street with its quarterly results. And on the economic front, as we said, retail sales were down 0.3 in September, Jim. Revisions were better. Gas stations down 0.7. People say maybe this has to do with gas prices.
Perhaps it does. When I take a look at what's going on, if you read between the lines for Bank of America, which is just a gigantic bank, a gigantic consumer bank, They're talking about 5.7% growth in consumer spending year to date. I wonder whether these retail numbers are accurate. I tended to wanted to believe in them, but I find it hard to believe that you could have Bank of America showing this level of growth. And Bank of America is, I think, representative of our country versus the retail sales. Maybe the retail sales do not capture what they used to in the numbers, because that's a tremendous disparity, gasoline or no. Hard to believe.
You know, you would like to see with the changing how they go about measuring, certainly given the significant changes that have taken place in the way that Americans buy things.
Yes.
But I would have to believe, I know at this point they are accounting for online and things of that nature, Jim. There's no doubt that they're missing that.
Are they? I don't know. Let's see what the Adobe numbers are. Adobe now keeps track of all commerce, including e-com. I think e-com is harder to track. There are so many different ways and outlets that companies that you buy things from. When you look at, it's almost like that's a mall number plus club. Because holy cow, look at Target, look at Walmart, look at Amazon, look at Costco, look at Home Depot. You are seeing spending that's the best in years. Why is that? How can you?
Well, but those are market share dynamics potentially at work. We were doing prints of 4/10, 5/10, 4/10, 8/10 all summer long.
Well, I mean, I know that there's a propensity to believe that what you saw last night, what you see in the papers, is cutting back spending. But J.P. Morgan had an exceptional number yesterday for consumer spending, and they're talking about, a gigantic. You're talking about like a gigantic amount of consumer spend. Goldman not as important, but Goldman had tremendous numbers in the credit card. They would argue that they're a big factor. They're not. The Wells spending was pretty darn good. Citi spending was good, particularly in the credit card. I struggle to find, of the companies that I follow, anything that is anywhere near that retail sales number, whether it be retailers or whether it be banks.
Right.
I don't know how to rectify. I just can't reconcile. I cannot reconcile these numbers. And I know that we can listen to people who in the previous show who talk about Federal Reserve and Commerce Department, get the numbers. I deal with the reality of bottoms up, and bottoms up is much better than that number. Yes, there are, you can back out Sears and Kmart. I don't care. And you can also say that autos, not that great. But these are real numbers that I'm giving you. And the real numbers require making a mosaic of what's going on. And the mosaic involves banking and retail to a level that I can't ignore.
Yeah, all fair. Although this morning there's an interesting dynamic, at least in the research that I've noticed, Jim, and I'm sure you have too, which is there seems to be some analysts who want to temper the prospects for growth companies.
Yes.
And you mentioned Adobe, of course, in terms of their numbers, but that downgrade today from Citi, lower growth, margin visibility takes them to neutral. Workday over at Evercore, a lot of positives, but adoption remains an evolution, not yet a revolution. Right. Morgan Stanley, tougher road to large opportunity on Slack. Sure. They also take a breather on ServiceNow. And I'm just wondering, is there an underlying tone here that perception of growth is changing? We've been talking about it, but now maybe it's...
What do you mean? There's no perception. Hours worked has fallen. Wage growth is rolling over. The payroll average is down. I mean, this is not coming out of nowhere, Jim.
But then how can Target be at 111? How can Walmart be challenging all-time highs? I mean,
well, Bill Gross would say, a quarter of the gains this year have been because of falling rates?
Well, I'll take wherever I can get it. I do worry what David's talking about is the idea that the companies that sell it at 30, 40, 50 times earnings or have no earnings are really, they're falling. And they're falling, to back up what you said, David, the Workday price target, say, for instance, is a good example. Stiefel goes 210 to 180. Why? Slowing human capital, moderating their core business. When you look at Adobe, they're talking about their commerce business simply not being that well. Commerce business is a huge part of the business. ServiceNow, I guess they're just, catching up to how it's expensive. You're back trying to reconcile Microsoft and buying Microsoft versus
it is, but these SaaS companies...
we have Benioff.
And we do. We've got the man himself to talk to about it. By the way, the stock has not done particularly well. It trades well below the group in terms of its multiple. It's undervalued, many would say, but what do you do to fix that, right?
Well, I've got to tell you, this market likes the lowest multiple stocks, with the exception of the autos. You look at Micron. Loves Micron. Remember, it bottomed 42, 43, right when he came on, Rota came on. They like Texas Instruments. This market likes J&J, which is, by the way, sells at 15 times earnings. And boy, does it love J.P. Morgan and Citi. worth noting. Very important.
Yeah. Meanwhile, got to keep one eye on the debates last night. Healthcare, breaking up big tech, taxing the wealthy. Those were among the topics Democratic presidential candidates did debate last night in Ohio. Here's how Senator Elizabeth Warren defended her plan to tax the wealthiest Americans.
I'm really shocked at the notion that anyone thinks I'm punitive. Look, I don't have a beef with billionaires. My problem is you made a fortune in America. You had a great idea. You got out there and worked for it. Good for you. But you built that fortune in America. I guarantee you built it in part using workers all of us help pay to educate. You built it in part getting your goods to market on roads and bridges all of us help pay for. You built it at least in part protected by police and firefighters. All of us help pay the salaries for. And all I'm saying is you make it to the top 0.1%, then pitch in 2 cents so every other kid in America has a chance to
Senator,
make it.
Thank you.
That's
Secretary
what
Castro.
this is about. Jim, you were, I would say, fired up on Twitter last night and this morning.
Well, I just feel they got to distinguish between what I thought was actually a reasonable so-called assault on billionaires. One of them was up there, Tom Stark, versus this rhetoric about prosecutions of drug executives. I mean, they mentioned J&J. You want to prosecute Alex Gorski? I mean, wow. I mean, that's a show trial. Alex Gorski, show trial. J&J, the great American company. I heard it. I'm astonished. I don't want to hear that. Okay, break up the banks. Well, the government put together the banks. I mean, do we need to break up the banks? Bank of America too powerful? I see no. We have so many more banks in this country than any other country. It's remarkable. It's big tech. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, he is a pinata. Amazon. How do you like the way that Elizabeth Warren quoted the 47% Amazon versus saying that Walmart never got near destroying small business like this? I think Amazon Web Services in many ways powers small business. So I think that the rhetoric about attacking the companies that we follow versus a very reasonable negotiation with the billionaires who should give money back versus like giving it back charity. These are two different things. But when I heard the J&J thing, I shot off a memo to J&J. I said, this is America. You can't prosecute Alex Gorski criminally.
Right.
For what? For 1% of opioid, of which was all prescribed? Is that the way our country's headed?
Should point out as well this morning, there's a lot of different news on potential opioid settlements involving both the drug distributors, the Jerusalem Post also talking about Teva, close to a potential settlement, J&J involved, separate obviously from what they were talking about last night, but important for the performance of those stocks. But I do wonder, Jim, whether some of this just goes back to the lack of prosecution during the banking crisis.
Most definitely. I mean, I think, and by the way, that did come up, which is the idea we dropped the ball against the people who really almost wrecked our country. Again, this is going to be a great discussion with Mark Benioff. I agree with you. This is a rear guard assault on what should have happened. And there are executives, I don't want to mention names, whom I thought should have been criminally prosecuted, but skated. They did skate because that Justice Department, the Obama Justice Department, failed. And you know that there are whole books written about how they failed. But I just felt, I finished and I said, geez, I really like a lot of these candidates, but they have got to stop talking about how business is the center of all evil. Well, business is the greatest platform for change today.
They probably will stop once we get past, we're in a primary season.
I know. I mean, look, I think it's interesting that Bernie Sanders is a socialist. So what do I expect? Socialist. So what do I expect?
He is.
Rhetoric that he's a capitalist? I mean, he's actually a stated socialist. Like, the great socialists of France during the days. I live in a communist. I have a house in a communist regime in Italy. It's communist. It's called a commune. It's different. I mean, they come in, they tell you what to spend, they tell you what to do, they take your money, and they say, hey, what'd you think? What'd you think? It's communist, for heaven's sake. I mean, socialist a little bit better.
Right.
At least they don't tell me what the crop I have to grow.
Might be even better than that. But it is not as though we're not going to have a debate coming up in this election about sort of the future of capitalism. Mr. Benioff is going to speak to that. He does in his book as well.
Do you think Senator Warren is against capitalism?
No.
I don't either.
I do think she wants to change it in a substantial way. It's so interesting, too. I've met a couple of people who were her students at UPenn Law School.
Yeah.
And she was their favorite. and they're like, we don't know who this person is.
People at Harvard Law say, can you believe?
30 years ago.
Yeah, the Consumer Protection Bureau, she's very important. The people I know are from Texas. People I know from Harvard. They all say, hey, great professor. Exactly what you said. A great professor in terms of reasoned analysis. I mean, maybe you have to do this to get the nomination. I know a lot of people just say, I was at a party last night where said, will she move right? Will she move right? Will she move right? Well, she can't tact right when Bernie Sanders is out there raising a ton of money.
That's exactly what's happening. Meanwhile, the reaction this morning, Lee Cooperman on Squawk saying that the market has another leg up left in it, maybe 10% over 6 months, but did talk about the risk.